I get it all around the world.
You didn't see this one coming. Man, we so hungry.
I get it all around the world.
Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. This is my first tech review. You're not seeing things wrong. I've always thought about doing these, but I just never have. I wanted to do it with my iPhone 5S, but never got around to it. And today I'm going to review the iPad Air. Why am I a fragrance reviewer doing a tech review on my channel? Well, guys, I've loved gadgets since I got my first Nintendo around 1985. My father bet heavy money, even though he's a New Yorker, on the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And they were losing heavy, and my friend called me up who knew it, that my father bet money, and if the Broncos won, my father said he'd give me a Nintendo. So my friend called me up, and he said, in the middle of the game, ha, 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 you're not getting Nintendo. So I put the phone down. I was about 6 at the time. I started to probably cry a little bit. My father said, well, what are you crying about? I said, you know, he said I'm not getting the Nintendo. He said, call him back, tell him to go fuck himself because he called you and did that. I'm buying you a Nintendo anyway. So I did that, and I got a Nintendo. And ever since then, I've been in love with gadgets. I've owned lots of game systems. I currently have the PS3, which I really use primarily as a Blu-ray player. Only usually have time to play 1 or 2 games a year. This year it was the new Grand Theft Auto, which I loved. I beat that. I also love the Madden games, the Uncharted games. Definitely thinking about a PS4 now that it's out and getting the new Call of Duty game. Probably want to wait till the hubbub dies down a little bit and it's easy to just walk into a store and grab one, but then I'll be getting the PS4. I like the Xbox too. I initially bought the PS3 because of the Blu-ray. I have a huge Blu-ray collection, and I like the exclusives on PlayStation better. I really liked Heavy Rain. You know, a lot of people did. I like Uncharted. I'm not really into the Metal Gears, but I also like Little Big Planet, so I'm a PlayStation guy. I just think it's the better system, but I'm not going to get into a war about that. Both are really good systems, I know that. As far as computer goes, I was a PC guy until the first iPhone came out, and then I switched and totally switched. I currently have an iPod Classic, an iPhone 5S, an iPad Air, an iPad Mini, an iMac, and an Apple TV. I've owned every iPhone and iPad on launch day, but I returned my iPad 4 and switched it for a Mini. The upgrades weren't enough for me to jump to from the 3 to the 4 iPad. The only upgrade was a slightly better camera, a faster chip, and the Lightning port. I used it for a week and couldn't tell the difference between the 3 and 4. And I usually use my iPad as a laptop. I do everything on it. I do keynote presentations for work. I mess around with music software, MPC player, and MPC Beatmaker, and Tabletop, and GarageBand. I do my note-taking and project management stuff at work on it. I play games, watch movies, videos, etc. As far as, you know, apps go, my favorites are, you know, I like Seamless a lot to order food. Netflix is great. I have my Time Warner cable, HBO Go, you know, Pandora, the normal stuff, NBA, NFL. My iReader is Mr. Reader. I love Newsstand. I have a bunch of subscriptions in that, the Post, the Week, and the Magazine. And then some other apps I really like are iPhoto, Pages, Keynote Numbers, iMovie, GarageBand, MPC, DJ. I really am into music, as you could tell by all the intro music I use for my videos. A big hip-hop head. Some top-tier games that I just like playing to sort of test the iPad Air. Nova 3, GT Racing, both by Gameloft, which are very good games. Oceanhorn, which is a new game that's sort of take on Zelda. That's pretty well done. And Epic 2, or Epoch 2, which is sort of a robot action game. So, you know, those are sort of the. I also love the X Comics app. I never really read comics before this, but reading them on the display is beautiful. I'll just quickly show you how easy it is to read a comic book on this. If I have comics downloaded on this, which I actually might not. Yeah, I guess I don't. I thought I did, but I don't. Oh well. Well, maybe we could do a preview episode or just to show you guys. Basically, the text just looks absolutely gorgeous on this, and the animations do too. I guess my Wi-Fi is a little slow right now, so won't be looking at any comics, but I really enjoy reading comics on my iPad. I just Saga is one I really like by Image Comics, and Fatale is another one I really like on this. Now, as far as Android versus iOS goes, I think phone makers have caught up and or surpassed Apple. I don't think tablet makers have yet. I've heavily considered a Note 3 or Galaxy 4, and next year if Apple doesn't seriously improve the iPhone 6, I might make the jump. It is hard because I am in that Apple ecosystem and everything just works together seamlessly. I'm planning on getting a Nexus 7 for Christmas, the Google tablet, to use as a secondary tablet and get a really good feel for Android. So with the iPad Air, it was really easy to get this. With the iPhone 5S, I had to wait overnight. I got there at midnight, couldn't get in until 8 in the morning, and then at 8 in the morning, my license was expired, so they wouldn't let me buy an iPhone. I actually had to go to an AT&T store. With the iPad Air, it was really easy. Just woke up at 3 o'clock, reserved one, got to the Apple store at 8 o'clock. By 8:15, I was out with my iPad, so it was really, really easy. I got the 32 gigabyte model in silver and white. You can see it's got the lightning connector. It's got 2 speakers now. I think they maybe should have put one here and one here, but it does work, and you can see how thin that is. It is basically as thin as the Mini. We stack them up next to each other. You could sort of see both very thin. It's basically the same form factor as the Mini as well. So just a very thin tablet. I think it weighs a pound, and so it definitely is light and narrow. So I went with the 32 gigabyte Wi-Fi model, and that's what I'm going to speak about. And I'm going to harp on 3 main points in regard to the iPad Air, and maybe you can decide whether or not it's a tablet worth getting for you, or is it worth you upgrading to get this tablet. The first thing is size. When I opened this in the Apple Store, I was disappointed. When Apple unveiled the name Air during the keynote, which I watched live, I was expecting something lighter and thinner at first. This one's about 33% thinner than the 4 and about 1/4 of a pound less, which is a lot, I guess, when you're talking about a pound. It's also less wide because the bezel was shaved down, making it a shitload easier to type with 2 hands. You can see now, if you want to type with 2 hands, your thumbs can get around much easier. Before, because it was wider, the bezel, it wasn't as easy to type with 1 hand. So that was much better. But when I opened this in the store, I think I was initially let down because I already have a Mini and I'm used to the form factor. But after getting home and playing with it a day, I really grew to appreciate how much it shrank. I can comfortably hold it with 1 hand now, type easier, and everyone who has seen and felt mine, pause there by the way, no sexual innuendo, has been very impressed. This is the thinnest and lightest iPad. It clearly has better battery life than any other iPad, 11 full hours instead of the others which get about 10. So the size is really, really incredible. Now the second thing I want to talk about is the chipset. And this iPad is the same chipset as the iPhone 5S. It's got the A7 and the M7 for motion processing. The processor is a gigahertz higher than the 5S iPhone though, but the Retina Mini has the same exact chip as used in the iPhone 5S. This one's a little bit more powerful. Now to me the M7 is useless in an iPad, but that's just me. The A7 on the other hand is a beast. The 64-bit architecture doesn't mean much yet. What it means basically is in the future, these tablets and phones will be able to handle more than 4 gigabytes of RAM. And of course now, every other mobile device maker is promising 64-bit chips in future products. But as far as the A7 goes, you can throw anything at this with 0 lag or hiccups, whether that be Infinity Blade, making beats on the MPC, photo editing, document creation, no problem. This is as powerful as a MacBook Air was in 2010. And remember, storage is flash, so everything loads extremely quickly. Let's, just for a little test, let's open Nova 3, which is a really intensive graphic game. And you know what? Let's close it out because I was playing it. So let's actually close it out and reopen it. And you can just see how fast this loads up. It's pretty amazing to me. It's got how many. Look at the fingerprints on the screen. That's something they really do need to fix. But you could see we're going to go to campaign. We're going to continue Ice and Fire. I've been really impressed by this game too. I don't love Halo, but and that's it. We're loaded. and into a pretty goddamn graphically intense game. It's already loaded up. So just really, really fast. Anything you're going to open on this. GarageBand, which can now take 32 tracks. Watch how fast this is going to open. And that's it. We're done. Now, I don't guess I haven't opened this yet on, but that's it. GarageBand is open. You can go to any one of your instruments and just fuck around. The smart strings. Everything opens unbelievably fast on this. So that A7 chip is just screaming, literally. It is as fast gets. In a tablet, I don't know if there's a tablet that's better than this. People talk quad core all they want, but the dual core on this smokes a lot of other chips out there on tablets. And the third thing I want to talk about is probably most important to me is the screen. To me, the Retina is still the best screen on a tablet, bar none. I've seen the others. There are some good ones out there. The HDX by Amazon's pretty good, but this one is stunning. And because the bezel was shrunk, the screen looks bigger, to me at least. It's a joy to see everything on this, and it will ruin other displays for you guys. I have a 50-inch 1080p and by Sony, and my favorite way to watch films on this guy is on this with headphones on. Everything is crisp as fuck. Games, photos. I mean, I bought this movie called Earth, which is an HD movie about the environment, and you know, it might not translate to camera, but look at that. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's just unbelievably gorgeous screen. I'm going to try to update this in HD, as high resolution as I could get, so you could just see how just insanely beautiful the screen is. It is the truth. It really, really is unbelievable. It's the best screen I have far and away, I would say. Now, those are the big draws to me, basically. Screen, processor, size. The camera got a better lens, but I wouldn't recommend using your tablet as a camera. My guess is that Apple never wanted to put it there in the first place, but wanted to keep up with the Joneses. iOS 7 is good, but not great. It's clean and simple, but Android probably has Apple beat there at this point. I don't like Android's fragmentation, and obviously it has a steeper learning curve, but you can do a lot more with it. You know, Apple killed skeuomorphism in iOS 7 and went to a cleaner, less cluttered, flatter look. They even recently updated iBooks, and you can just take a look at how many books I have. It's pretty ridiculous. Reading the Tyson one now, which I really enjoying. The new book by J.J. Abrams, Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. The new Stephen King, Dr. Sleep, Charles Manson biography, Westies, Fragrance, Diary of a No. So these are the types of stuff I like. Carl Pilkington, The Manhunt for Bin Laden, Eli Manning, Mob Daughter, the Game of Thrones joints, of course, and The Feds, I'm a Libertarian, Helter Skelter, Boardwalk Gangster, the Steve Jobs bio. These are the type of books I like. Just a lot of different stuff. I'm a big, huge reader. Here's the Arnold Rothstein biography. And books, I really like reading books, so this is great for me. But basically, let me just get that back on. That's the new iBooks, basically. So they stopped. They even updated that app, which I think was the last to be updated in iOS 7, the last Apple stock app. Siri is a gimmick. It's not so much on a phone, which sometimes you want to be hands-free, but I don't think it's a big draw on a tablet. The suite of apps you get with iOS devices now, GarageBand, iMovie, iPhoto, Pages, Keynote, Numbers are great creation apps, and you should grab them. If I was going to recommend a model, I'd say get the color you want, decide if you need mobile connectivity or not. I do not. If you do, it might be worth paying the extra $130, but keep in mind you will incur charges if you use that. I would strongly recommend against the 16 gigabyte model unless you're going to use the iPad lightly. Because of this Retina display, apps are quite big and fill up the storage really quickly. Apple's also selling the iPad 2 without the Retina display for $399, and that is a huge ripoff. Go online and see if you can get the 3 or 4 for around that price, as the Retina display is something you don't want to go without. I think the iPad mini Retina, which just came out, is a great buy too. If you can get your hands on it, you might want to decide if you want that for starting at $399 or Yeah, $399 for the 16GB model. So my verdict is this is by far my favorite gadget ever. It's not cheap, but when you compare it to high-quality laptops, it starts to look a lot better. You will always be able to sell the previous generation iPad for about 50 to 70% of what you paid for it. So once you're upgrading, it gets cheaper as you go along. I think I'm now at a place where once every 2 years seems like it'll be enough for me to upgrade. I suspect that Apple left the Touch ID off so that they can add it to the new iPad next year. What would I have liked to have seen here? I would have really liked to have seen Apple add the Touch ID to this model. It just makes app purchasing much easier. Also, I think it's time that Apple make the base model the 32GB for $499. Other tablet makers are pricing tablets with that size storage for cheaper. And as I said, with that Retina display and what the stock options take up, 16GB isn't enough. But really, those are my only two gripes. I don't care about Flash because there are browsers in the App Store that support Flash. And I don't give a shit about a USB drive. You know, you could just use Dropbox. Those things have never mattered to me, which is good because neither Flash or a USB port is coming to an iPad ever. The only thing I would ask for is cheaper storage in the future, and hopefully even in a higher resolution screen to shut some of the other tablet makers up. Just because the screen has a higher resolution doesn't make it better. There are Sony 720p screens that blow Olivia 1080p screens out of the water. To me, it's more about the resolution. It's about more than resolution. And Apple's displays are sick and something to behold, which is why I do hope they put out that iPanel TV at some point. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. It will be a 10 one day, hopefully, when storage gets less expensive and iOS gets a little more modern with live icons and widgets. But overall, I think this is far and away the best tablet on the market and best tablet that Apple has ever built. So thank you for watching. Maybe I'll do some other tech reviews in the future, possibly the PS4, and if I get an Android tablet, and maybe the iPhone next year, whatever else I get. I think I'm getting a new television soon enough, so maybe we'll talk about that as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure when this is, so I don't know what else is coming up soon, but I'm saying I don't know when I'm going to post this, but fragrance review will definitely be coming soon, so stay tuned for that, and possibly more gadget reviews. I am Maximilian.
Bounce like a baby from a rooftop, or find me in the lift, flying in the air, find designer wear, diamonds in my ear, drama I don't wanna hear. Yeah, I said if he don't get the first night, girl, he gon' turn.